When you look around this room tonight, I don't just see faces, I see potential. Potential that is waiting to be unlocked. Potential that is yearning for the right mindset to rise above limitations. And potential that can turn ordinary dreams into extraordinary realities. Too often, we underestimate the incredible power that lies within us, not because we lack talent or ability, but because we haven't yet embraced the mindset of a winner. Winning doesn't begin on the stage or in the spotlight, or with a trophy in hand. Winning begins in silence, in the quiet spaces of your own mind when no one else is watching. It begins with the decision to believe in yourself when the world gives you every reason not to. And I want you to understand tonight, this speech is not just about inspiring you for a moment, it's about transforming how you see yourself for a lifetime. Because the truth is, the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who settle for less is not luck, it's not privilege, and it's not even timing, it's mindset. And if you can master the mindset of a winner, then you can master any challenge, any obstacle, and any opportunity life places before. So tonight, I invite you to lean in, to not just hear my words, but to feel them, to absorb them, and to let them challenge the way you think about your own path. If you give me your attention, if you stay with me until the very end, I promise you, something inside you will shift. You will walk out of here seeing yourself differently, carrying yourself differently, and believing, perhaps for the first time in a long time, that you were built to win. Belief is the foundation upon which every great achievement is built. Before the world applauds you, before anyone recognizes your talent, before the opportunities even arrive, you must have the courage to see yourself as capable of winning. That inner vision, that conviction, becomes the engine that drives everything else forward. Without it, even the most gifted, the most talented, the most prepared individual will eventually falter, because they don't truly see themselves as worthy of victory. But when you believe, deeply and unapologetically, you awaken a force within yourself that cannot be stopped. I want you to think about this. Every innovation, every groundbreaking achievement, every victory that has shaped history began in the mind of someone who dared to believe it was possible before there was any evidence. They believed when others doubted. They believed when their circumstances screamed impossibility. And it was that belief that sustained them long enough to turn vision into reality. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve often comes down to the depth of their conviction. Belief is not a wish. It is a certainty you carry even when no one else sees what you see. When you start to cultivate this mindset, you begin to notice that your belief shapes your actions. It changes the way you walk into a room, the way you speak about your goals, the way you face obstacles. Someone who doesn't believe will shrink at the first sign of resistance, but someone who believes has already accepted that the victory is theirs. It is only a matter of time and persistence. That kind of mindset changes everything. There will always be people who tell you what you cannot do. They will project their limitations onto you, and if you are not rooted in your own belief, you will start to accept their doubts as truth. But when you carry an unshakable vision of who you are becoming, their words no longer hold power. Instead of being discouraged, you use their doubt as fuel. Instead of questioning yourself, you remind yourself that belief is the seed, and seeds take time to grow. You don't let their fear become your reality. It's important to understand that belief is not arrogance. It's not pretending you're perfect or that you have all the answers. Belief is choosing to see your potential even when the world hasn't caught up yet. It's the courage to bet on yourself, to take risks, to step into opportunities that scare you, and to trust that you can rise to the occasion. The mindset of a winner is not about having every advantage. It's about knowing that no matter the challenge, you have within you the strength, the creativity, and the resilience to overcome it. But belief is not something that just magically appears one day. It is something you must cultivate, protect, and strengthen every single day. It's built in the quiet moments when you affirm to yourself that you are capable, when you visualize your goals, when you push yourself one step further than you thought possible. Belief grows stronger with evidence, and that evidence comes from action. Every small step you take, every promise you keep to yourself, every challenge you face head-on becomes a brick in the foundation of your belief. Think about the times in your life when you achieved something you once thought was impossible. At first, it may have felt overwhelming, even unattainable, But once you accomplished it, your perspective shifted. You began to ask yourself, if I could do that, what else am I capable of? That is how belief evolves. It's not about being fearless. It's about proving to yourself over and over again that you can rise above fear. And here's the truth. Belief is contagious. When you carry yourself with conviction, when you speak with confidence, when you show others what it looks like to fully embrace your potential, you inspire them to do the same. People are drawn to those who believe because belief radiates energy, and energy draws opportunity. Suddenly, doors begin to open, not because the world has changed, but because your mindset has shifted. Yet belief will always be tested. There will be moments when life knocks you down, when your plans fall apart, when your dreams feel so far away that giving up seems easier. These are the moments that separate the average from the exceptional. A winner doesn't allow temporary setbacks to destroy their belief. They may bend, but they do not break. They use every disappointment as a reminder that their vision is still alive, that their story is not over, and that belief must stand firm even when the evidence is scarce. When you learn to anchor yourself in belief, you stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for perfect timing. You stop waiting for someone else to validate your potential. You realize that your power lies in your own ability to see yourself as a winner before anyone else does. And when you carry that kind of certainty within you, the world has no choice but to eventually recognize it. So if you want to step into the mindset of a winner, begin here. Begin by believing before achieving. Begin by writing the victory in your heart long before it shows up in reality. Because once you believe with unshakable certainty, the path to achievement becomes not a question of if, but only a question of when. Motivation is powerful, but it is fleeting. It comes in waves, it excites us in the moment, but it does not always last. We all know what it feels like to wake up one morning filled with energy, ready to take on the world, only to find the very next day that the fire has dimmed, the enthusiasm has faded, and the desire to keep pushing forward is no longer there. That's why winners don't build their success on motivation alone. They build it on something far stronger, far more reliable: discipline. Discipline is what carries you when motivation runs out. Discipline is what gets you out of bed when every part of you wants to stay under the covers. It's what makes you show up on the days you don't feel like it, and it's what keeps you consistent when the excitement of the beginning has worn off. A winner understands that feelings are temporary, but habits are lasting. And they choose to rely on the habits they build rather than the fleeting energy of a mood. Think about it. The greatest athletes in the world don't wake up every day thrilled to train. The most successful entrepreneurs don't feel inspired every single moment of their journey. The people who rise to the top in any field aren't there because they were motivated all the time. They're there because they were disciplined enough to keep showing up long after the motivation was gone. That is the truth of success. It's not about doing it once when you feel good. It's about doing it over and over, even when you don't. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't always get applause. It's in the small daily choices, the ones no one sees, the ones that seem insignificant, that discipline is built. Choosing to stay late to finish the work. Choosing to practice when others are relaxing. Choosing to keep your word to yourself even when no one else will know if you break it. These are the decisions that compound over time. Winners know that it is in these quiet moments of discipline that greatness is formed. And yet discipline is not about perfection. It's not about never slipping, never missing, never struggling. It's about resilience. It's about getting back on track quickly when you do falter. It's about refusing to let one bad day become a bad week, or one missed opportunity become a lifetime of regret. Winners understand that discipline is not about never falling. It's about always getting back up. When you choose discipline, you give yourself freedom. You give yourself freedom. It may sound contradictory, but it's true. Discipline frees you from regret, from inconsistency, from the weight of broken promises. It allows you to move forward with clarity because you know that no matter what happens, you can trust yourself to follow through. And that trust in yourself is one of the most powerful tools you will ever possess. People often look for shortcuts, for secrets, for an easier way to the top. But the reality is simple. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is discipline. It's the willingness to do the things most people are not willing to do, to stay the course when others give up, to keep moving forward even when it feels like no progress is being made. And eventually, that discipline pays off in ways motivation never could. The truth is, discipline is hard at first. It feels uncomfortable, it feels unnatural, it requires sacrifice. But with time, it becomes a part of you. The very things that once felt like a struggle become your new standard. And when you reach that point, when discipline is no longer something you fight for but something you live by, that is when the extraordinary begins to happen. You may not always control the circumstances around you. You may not control the opportunities that come your way. But you can always control how disciplined you are with what you do have. That's where real power lies, not in waiting for the perfect chance, not in hoping for constant motivation, but in mastering your own actions day after day. And here is what I want you to remember. Discipline does not just create success, it builds character. It shapes you into someone stronger, someone sharper, someone who doesn't need to depend on external factors to keep going. It turns you into someone who can be trusted, not just by others, but by yourself. That kind of strength, that kind of reliability, is what separates a winner from the rest. So if you want to step into the mindset of a winner, stop waiting for motivation to strike. Stop relying on inspiration to carry you through. Begin building the discipline that will sustain you when the excitement fades. Because in the end, it is not the days when you feel like it that define you, it's the days when you don't. Every person who has ever achieved something remarkable has walked through seasons of struggle. It's a truth that many try to avoid, but winners know it cannot be escaped. Life is going to hand you setbacks. It will hand you rejection, failure, disappointment, and moments where everything you worked for seems to slip right through your hands. But the defining factor is not whether those moments happen, it's what you do with them. Winners don't see setbacks as the end. They see them as the training ground, the very place where resilience is forged and strength is built. Think for a moment about the times you faced something difficult. Whether it was being told no when you wanted a yes, whether it was falling short when you gave everything, or whether it was feeling like you'd hit rock bottom. In those moments, it's easy to believe that failure defines you. It's easy to believe that rejection means you're not good enough, or that defeat means your dream isn't meant for you. But a winner knows that failure is not final. They understand that setbacks are simply stepping stones, redirecting them toward the path that will ultimately lead to success. When you shift your perspective and begin to see challenges not as punishments but as lessons, everything changes. Suddenly, rejection becomes feedback. Mistakes become teachers. Delays become preparation. Winners use every obstacle as fuel. They don't allow disappointment to crush their spirit. They allow it to sharpen their focus. They understand that every struggle is building within them a capacity they will one day need for the victory ahead. It's not about pretending the struggle doesn't hurt. It does. It's not about smiling through pain as if it doesn't exist. Winners feel the sting of failure, but they don't stay there. They rise, they reflect, they rebuild. And because of that, every time they fall, they get back up stronger than before. That is the power of turning setbacks into stepping stones. Some of the most successful people in history failed more times than most people ever tried. They were laughed at, doubted, ignored, and rejected, but they didn't let those moments define their story. Instead, they allowed those experiences to carve into them resilience, humility, and perseverance. And when the breakthrough finally came, they were ready for it, not in spite of their struggles, but because of them. The truth is, setbacks are necessary. If everything came easily, you would never develop the strength to handle what comes with success. The challenges you face are not there to break you, they are there to prepare you. They are shaping your character, building your endurance, and teaching you lessons you will need when the stakes are higher. Winners understand this, which is why they don't run from difficulties. They lean into them, knowing they are temporary but transformative. When life knocks you down, you have two choices: stay down or rise up. And the act of rising, of refusing to quit, is what separates those who give up from those who eventually win. Winners embrace the scars, the bruises, and the lessons because they know that without them, the victory wouldn't carry the same meaning. The very setbacks you face today could be the very reason you succeed tomorrow if you allow them to shape you instead of defeat you. So many people quit right before the breakthrough. They give up when it gets too hard, when the obstacles seem too great, when the progress is invisible. But a winner knows that persistence through struggle is often the final test before success arrives. They keep going even when nothing seems to be working, because they understand that setbacks are not signals to stop. They are signals to keep pressing forward with even greater determination. You may not control every circumstance. You may not stop rejection or failure from showing up in your life. But you can always control your response, and your response is what determines your outcome. If you treat a setback as the end, then it will be the end. But if you treat it as a stepping stone, then it becomes part of the path that leads you to where you were always meant to be. That is the mindset of a winner. To look at obstacles not as roadblocks, but as detours leading you closer to the finish line. To take the pain of failure and let it fuel the fire inside you. To refuse to let rejection silence your vision. To know deep within yourself that the harder the climb, the sweeter the view from the top. So when life pushes you back, let it propel you forward. When doors close, let them guide you to the ones that are meant to open. And when you stumble, when you fall, when you are faced with a setback so heavy it threatens to crush you, remember this. The path to winning was never meant to be straight, but every step, even the ones that hurt, is carrying you closer to your victory. Dreams are powerful, but on their own, they are not enough. Vision is essential, but without the courage to act, it remains only a picture in your mind. Winners understand that success comes not just from having clarity about where they want to go, but from relentlessly moving toward it no matter how many obstacles stand in the way. They don't just dream, they execute. They don't just plan, they pursue. Vision without action is nothing more than hope. But vision paired with relentless action is what creates transformation. Every great accomplishment begins with a dream, but it is the daily steps, the consistent effort, and the unwavering pursuit that bring it to life. Too often people stop at the vision stage. They talk about what they want. They imagine what life could look like. They share their plans with others, but they never take the actions required to turn those words into reality. Winners separate themselves by doing what others will not. They put their vision to work. They turn their ASIN die into A today by taking steps, even small ones, every single day. Relentless action is not glamorous. It's not always celebrated. It often happens behind the scenes when no one is watching, when there is no applause, no validation, and no guarantee of immediate results. But winners are not driven by applause. They are driven by purpose. They keep going even when progress feels invisible, even when the finish line is far from sight. They trust that every effort compounds, every action adds up, and every moment of persistence brings them closer to the outcome they envisioned. The truth is, action is uncomfortable. It requires stepping outside of your comfort zone, taking risks, and sometimes facing fear head-on. But a winner doesn't allow fear to paralyze them. They understand that fear is a sign they are moving in the right direction, that growth lives just beyond the edge of discomfort. They act despite fear because they know that inaction is far more dangerous than failure. Inaction guarantees regret, but action always brings progress, even if it comes through lessons learned along the way. Relentless action also requires sacrifice. It means choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. It means saying no to distractions, no to excuses, and no to the temptations that pull you away from your vision. Winners are willing to pay that price because they know the reward is worth it. They understand that discipline and sacrifice are not limitations, they are investments. And every investment compounds into a return that is greater than the cost. But action alone is not enough if it isn't aligned with vision. Many people stay busy but never move forward. Winners are different. Winners are different. They don't just act for the sake of activity, they act with intention. They know where they are going, and every step they take is aligned with that destination. Their vision acts like a compass, guiding their choices, keeping them focused, reminding them why they started. Without that clarity, action can become scattered. With it, action becomes unstoppable. There will be moments when the vision feels distant, when the actions feel endless, and when the results feel out of reach. These are the moments that test whether your vision is strong enough to keep you moving. Winners remind themselves of the bigger picture, of the future they are working toward, and they use that reminder to keep pushing forward. They know that success is not built in a single moment of inspiration, but in countless moments of determination. Relentless action also means refusing to quit when the path gets difficult. It's about persistence, the decision to keep going even when others give up. Winners don't stop at the first obstacle, or the second, or even the 10th. They keep pressing forward until they find a way. They adapt, they adjust, they pivot if they must, but they never stop moving. Because they know that consistency beats intensity, that steady progress over time always wins. And perhaps most importantly, relentless action builds confidence. The more you act, the more capable you become. Every step forward, no matter how small, reinforces your belief in yourself. It reminds you that you are capable of handling challenges, of pursuing big goals, of carrying out the vision you hold in your heart. That growing confidence fuels even more action, creating a cycle of progress that cannot be broken. So if you want to embody the mindset of a winner, do not stop at vision. Do not be content with simply dreaming. Pair your vision with relentless action. Wake up every day committed to moving closer to your goals. Take the steps that others won't, endure the sacrifices others can't, and persist with the determination others lack. Because in the end, it is not the dreamers who change the world. It is the doers. It is the doers. And when you choose to relentlessly act on your vision, you guarantee that your success is not a matter of chance, but a matter of time.